Alright, so it is time for an update. Yeah, I'm just going to run through and kind of show you what's been happening in the fish room. I've made a few changes to some of the tanks. I'm no longer running CO2 because it ran out and I just didn't feel like filling it up. So that experiment is going on now, and it is, of course, affecting tanks and plants. But I do want to get CO2 going again. I'm just not going to do it now because I've been kind of busy, but hopefully come October, November, I'll get a few different tanks set up. I've been running CO2 on like the 100, a 55, and a 40, and then the 125, and I no longer want to do that. This 100 is going to be a low-tech tank with some easier to grow plants and some crypts. I think that's what I'm going to do in here, and I've kind of started doing it. I'll go ahead and I'll flip the camera around actually. I've kind of started doing it, so I've got a big, what is this thing? That does me no good to not remember the names of plants. I've got some nuri crypts down here, so hopefully those kind of take off. And I pulled those out of other tanks, so they look pretty bad. But, yeah, and then I don't know what plants are actually going to stay in here, to be quite honest. I do want crypts in here. I do want this big onion plant thing that I can't remember the name of in here. Crenum calamastratum. Jeez, gosh, like I need coffee or a nap or something, I don't know. But yeah, Crenum calamastratum, that is going to stay in here, and I do want all those crypts like in front of it. I don't know what's going to go behind that though. I'll probably be keeping that hygrophillia in here because it's a good sturdy plant and it does well. But yeah, this is going to be one of the tanks that's definitely changing. And then for CO2 tanks, I'm really considering just doing these 75s as CO2. Both of those have dirt, so I know they're kind of ready to be amped up. I just got to put some nice T5s on them, put CO2 in them, and take the fish out and put different fish in, because these guys do not need to go in a CO2 tank. Though they would do all right. I just don't want this many corys in a tank with CO2. But, yeah. Over here, I did make a change. So I took all of the electric blue corys out of this tank, and the one purple spotted gudgeon that was in here. So now I am left with, let's see if we can see any of them. Now I'm left with 2 males and 1 female orange laser cory, and I do know that's their sexes. So I should be able to get them to breed in here. It's basically just a few mystery snails eating algae, and then three orange lasers and a 55. So this is eventually going to get more plants in it. As you can see, it's got some algae issues, but I'd really like to get those orange lasers going. It would be really nice to have a giant school of them, you know, kind of at my leisure to do what I would like with in the tanks that I would like with, and also to get them out to other people. But yeah, so hopefully those end up breeding for me, and I've got a bunch of orange lasers. And this is a tank that's going through another change. So both of these 55s in this center rack, so I've got 2 20s, a 55 and a 55 on the other side, are going to be getting changes. So that one's going to be breeding corys. This one, I think I'm going to be doing shrimp and maybe endlers. I'm not sure what color shrimp yet. Because the color of the substrate, they might be blues. But we'll just kind of have to see. I could always top that off with black. I don't know if that's dirted, so I might dirt it. And then again, I don't know with shrimp if I want it dirted. But yeah, I took all the fish out of here. I do have 1 super red Pleco, a couple snails, but this is eventually going to get a bunch of shrimp in it. And then probably endlers, because shrimp and endlers just do so great for me. Endlers are such a great fish because they don't really bother too much. They will eat shrimp, little baby shrimplets, but they're not gonna devastate them to where you can't, you know, breed enough to sell them. In my experience, we can kind of look at that here, and this is why endlers are becoming some of my favorite fish. Yeah, all those endlers. And then we can come down here, and my downway is taking a major hit since losing CO2, so that's off the site for now. All that peacock moss is there, it's trying to take over. But we can come down here, and we can just see there's a lot of shrimp in here. Arguably as many shrimp as there are fish. Like if you look, we've got a few baby fish. Probably have 20 fish and 20 shrimp in that shot right there. I mean, so there's a pretty good consistent amount of both of them in here, and I don't seem to have any issues. Now, if you run into issues with your shrimp not breeding because of all of your endlers, and that is a lot, I've actually been giving away kind of extra when people buy these right now. So if you want to get some endlers, some black bar endlers from me, now's the time, because I'll be probably giving you a scoop of extra fry and just even adults. I sell them by the trios. But, yeah, what was I saying? If you're having issues with your endlers, kind of prohibiting how fast your shrimp are breeding, just add more plants. I mean, this is a pretty scarcely planted tank. There's not like a whole lot of stems or bushy plants. A little bit of pearlweed there, but not a lot. So the shrimp do fine, and I really think it's because the endlers can't quite get them. Now, you get some of these bigger females in here, and they may be able to start eating those shrimplets. But then again, if you're feeding well, you shouldn't really have too many issues. I just see very few issues with my endlers and shrimps. And that could vary from species to species. These are a smaller in-class species. I don't know if these are actually in-class. I don't sell them as in-class. And that means never mix with guppies, basically. But I don't sell them as in-class because I just don't know. But they are a smaller one. But, yeah, oh, and then we can take a look at these Florida Crips. Those might go on the website soon. I've got all those down there, which are going slow. The ones in the pots just do so amazing for me. Like, yeah, I'm really, really happy with how those do in pots. Crips and pots just do great. Because they really don't seem to have I did lose a leaf off of one of those ones when I lost CO2, but that's basically been it. They don't really seem to get hit that hard when CO2 and other stuff drops. That one right there, actually, that leaf looks a little weak. You see that? But I don't think it'll get too much worse than that, as long as I keep enough fertilizers in here. But, and the fish help with that. That's kind of why I've got this heavily stocked, so that nothing takes too hard of a hit. If, underferding is a problem. But, yeah. And then here is the Fahaka 125 Rainbow, Belleri Rainbow, and Purple Spotted Gudgeon tank. The Pothos is doing quite well. And that helps just keep the nitrates low, because I kind of turned this into a grow-out tank, if you can't tell. Basically, I just wanted to get some rainbows growing out a little bit faster, and they definitely have been. I've got males and females in here that have really just been, I feel like some of them put on a centimeter or a quarter inch in the last month. And this has just been getting a lot of water changes, as well as, and I'm ferding it pretty heavily, but as well as having all this pothos up here, which is, really, really starting to get big. It's to the point where I can run more string and actually probably start stringing it across the ceiling of the fish room. So we'll see. But yeah, anyways, these are the Belleris. They're kind of coloring up right now. Like, some of them are colored up. They're not all the way colored. Ooh, he's starting to get colored. Yeah, get color, get color. They're getting hungry. Yeah, they're ready to eat. Just because they think food's right there. Look. Oh, God. Come on. Just excited. It's really fun feeding that many rainbows, too, because they will make a little bit of a mess. They'll start splashing. There's one of the bigger purple spotted gudgeons. I really like those fish as well. And I think they do good with the rainbows in here. I've got tiny purple spotted gudgeons. That dude really doesn't have any issues in here. Some smaller rainbows in here as well. And I don't seem to have any missing rainbows. I don't think the Fahaka is even bothering all these other fish. She seems to prefer... Hello. Hello. She seems to prefer just getting snails and crayfish over, I think, eating these. Now, there's a really good chance she could eat these if she wanted, and if I stopped feeding, maybe she will, but I don't know. I don't know. Maybe she will, maybe she won't. I'm sure she would if I didn't feed her for a few weeks. But that's really not the goal here. So she gets fed pretty well, pretty regularly. I don't feed her every day. She gets fed a few times a week. If I try and feed her every day at this point, I notice she'll just kind of leave the snails there and won't really touch them. So I just don't feed her every day. and she does fine off of a few feedings a week if they're big enough. But this tank's doing pretty good. A lot of the Crypspiralis has died back, probably with fur. I probably have fur problems. I may even have too much sand in here, but Nubius is kind of coming back, as well as the red tiger lotus. So yeah, look at all those purple spotted gudgeons. Those are starting to get big too. Like, when those get really big, I might have to watch for them. But these are on the website as well. I might run a sale on these in October. I'm not sure yet. I do have quite a few of them. And these Bellerais are still on the website. But yeah, that is the Fahakas tank, which I also want to do a rescape on soon. And this is the for-profit tank. Or the most profitable update tank. But yeah, so we've got Super Reds in here doing good. I don't have these listed on the website. They'll be up on the website here in another 3 weeks. I'll probably have quite a few on there because I've got some at a decent size. Like that one right there is ready to sell. That's probably Dad in there sitting on more eggs. But I mean, this tank's doing good. I've got more guppies in here. They're finally kind of starting to breed. So I did have an issue with this tank, and it was running really, really cold. Like, she's nice and big now, but this tank was running really cold. And the issue is it's an open top tank, and that is the AC vent that blows into the room, and that blows directly onto this. So it is getting hit with cold air, getting evaporative cooling with cold air on top of it. So I stuck a heater in here a few weeks ago, and that just keeps it at 78 and no warmer, or unless the room gets warmer. But that keeps it at 78, and since doing that, I've noticed faster growth in the Plecos and a lot more activity in breeding and better digestion in the guppies as well. So it may be worth mentioning that these guys do better in warmer temps. They do fine in cool temps, but you know, they were getting into the low 70s, and I think that was putting a little bit of stress on them. So yeah, but the plants in here are doing all right. Kind of working on getting that triangle moss to come back after I harvested a bunch. That one flamingo low tech crip is doing okay. It doesn't really grow much, but it's there. Chordata crip is doing all right. But yeah, that's that tank. That's basically it for the update. Yeah, I don't know what else to show you guys. Let me know in the comments below what you would like to see as far as just looking at tanks. I know I've gotten requests to look at all the tanks, but not all of my tanks look great. A lot of them have algae, and that would be scraping a lot of algae for me. And I guess I could show you guys just algae covered tanks. I mean, you see enough of those, right? But yeah, I'd rather not just focus on algae tanks. That, and I do have a lot of them, and it takes a lot. I have tried to go over every single tank, and it takes a lot of work to go over and just say the setup of the tank, whether you're running dirt, what kind of substrate, what kind of lights, what kind of plants, what kind of fish, and why you're doing all that, and how you're dosing all of the fertilizers. I'm out of breath just trying to think about talking about one tank, and perhaps it's just my personality with my tanks. I'm very particular and anal when it comes to doing certain things, and they might not look very particular, like they've been done a certain way, but there is an idea behind them. No matter how bad they look, there is generally some type of idea or method that I'm trying to put in place. Generally, it's a failing method, but you know, there's learning in failure just as there is in success. So anyways, that's it for the video. I'll catch you guys on the next one, and yeah.